Hello, everybody. This is Greg Writer, CEO and founder of Angel Investors Network, and welcome to another weekly live Google Hangout where I bring you some amazing individuals that have accomplished amazing things with the goal to help you succeed and give you some meaningful information, some meaningful tools that you can literally take this information and use it to get there faster. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Angel Investors Network, we've been online since 1997 at angelnetwork.com, and our mission is to help entrepreneurs succeed and create wealth. We're huge fans of free enterprise and capitalism, and we provide access to capital, coaching, consulting, prototyping, manufacturing, distribution, mentoring, marketing, and management. We're like that one-stop shop where the entrepreneur can come in, get what he needs to accelerate his growth and be successful at what he's doing. We're a nationwide network of investors, which is a little bit different than most angel groups that are geographic in nature. Ours is nationwide. We're doing some really cool stuff, which we're going to talk about today, that's adding lots of investors to our network. And these investors want to look at great deals. So we want to see your deal if you have a great deal. And our vision really is to build a very, very powerful community dedicated to perpetuating free enterprise and capitalism and helping entrepreneurs succeed through our human capital, our relationships, and everything we're doing. So today I'm really excited because I have a fellow marketing expert, wicked smart expert on with me today. Matter of fact, he's got so many years on me. I don't want to say much about that because we don't want to, get into the age thing. But this guy has literally marketed every product conceivable, done billions and billions of direct mail pieces. He's created lots of millionaires with his marketing services. But one of the really cool things, and the reason we've partnered up with Craig, my guest today, and his firm is that even though he's done what I just said, 60 to 70% of his business has been focused in the financial investment arena and the investment markets. And he literally has helped generate over 60 billion, and that's with the B, $billion investment capital for his clients, and over the last 30 to 40 years doing what he does. And I gotta say, I'm very happy to say I am introducing him, and this is his first Google Hangout. So Craig Huey, welcome to Angel Investor Network Weekly Hangout.
Hey Greg, it's great to be here. I'm glad that we're able to do this. I'm excited to kind of have this discussion about why marketing is such an incredibly important thing for any business owner.
No, I appreciate your time. I know it's extremely valuable, and we appreciate your time. We know it's extremely valuable. So we're going to get going right away. I do want you to know if you have any questions, go ahead, type in the chat box. I'll be fielding questions a little bit later as we kind of go through this stuff. We don't have any formal presentation. Craig and I are just going to wing it. I really want to introduce you to Craig and his services and what he's done. So Craig, behind you is all kinds of awards and some stuff on the wall. Why don't you give us a little 2 or 3 minute show and tell about what Creative Direct Marketing Group is all about and a little bit about all those awards that you got behind you.
All right. Well, sure. Greg, we won 79 awards over the last 30 years for the marketing campaigns that we've done. And we have taken entrepreneurs and made them into multimillionaires. We've taken large companies and helped them grow even larger. And behind me here, we have a campaign, which is an integrated campaign. And maybe we'll get into that, what it means to have an integrated marketing campaign. And this is in the investment field. We did TV commercials, we did direct mail, we did banner ads and all types of things. This one here is the Wine of the Month Club. And with Wine of the Month Club, being able to constantly find ways to increase their membership. And basically what we have is an ad agency of copywriters and artists who will understand the discipline of direct marketing, of direct response advertising. We don't do image advertising. We don't run something and hope it works. We always know the cost per lead, cost per sale. And every one of these campaigns, we target our audience. And every one of these campaigns, we use this unique copy called direct response copy and art that others can't do, ad agencies can't do. And so it's a fun thing. We love doing it. And we have been so successful with these clients that I've got one client where we launched them, turned him into a $24 million mail order operation, basically works out of his house. He's got a staff overlooking the ocean up in Northern California. And with this company, we have mailed probably 100 million pieces, and we're doing it today. It's been an incredible success story, and that's what we like to do, make success stories.
No, that's fantastic. And I'm going to do a little teaching moment here. So as you guys know, we're doing an event called Angel Money Marketing Live coming up in a couple weeks. And what I like to do is I like to make a point that every time we talk about a marketing strategy, how that marketing strategy is used in the raising capital business and how it can benefit you by, one, knowing this information, and two, leveraging this information. And the first thing I want to say about that is when you talk to an investor, and you can share with an investor that you have a marketing budget and you're doing direct response marketing, and you know your cost per lead, your customer acquisition cost, your lifetime value of a customer, that will impress an investor. That's like a money magnet. And to the contrary, if an investor says to you, well, what's your customer acquisition cost? And you don't know, what's your advertising budget, and what is your acquisition per cost, all these different things. If you don't know, that's a money repellent. So again, Craig is an expert in this. And actually, I want to make this point. His agency over the last 30 years has generated more leads and more investment dollars than any other agency on the planet. And that's why we've aligned ourselves to recommend him and promote him and what we're doing. And I'm happy to say that Craig's going to be coming to our event. And we'll talk about that later on. But so Craig, break that down a little bit for me.
Sure.
So those are, and again, I know this, but there's going to be some people watching this that this is new language for them. So
Right.
Can you please describe to them direct response marketing and scientific marketing? Let's dip a little deeper on that so they understand exactly what that means.
Well, it's really a breakthrough for any business owner, for any marketing director, because what it does, it's accountable advertising. You said it, Greg. You call it scientific advertising, and it is an accumulation of rules and testing data over the years of what to do and what not to do. It's a discipline that isn't based upon hunches. It's based upon actual test results. So what I'll explain at the conference is how we, first of all, go about targeting our audience. And so, Greg, you know the importance of targeting an audience. So I think that's foundational. Should we go into that aspect first?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Well, listen, what I'm going to talk about at the conference is you need to be able not to waste money by going to everybody or every prospect. You need to go to the most likely prospect possible. And probably the number one mistake people make is not understanding who their target audience is. So we start by looking at who is the most likely person, whether it's business to business or consumer, who's going to respond. And probably one of the biggest mistakes made in direct mail is people go to people who don't respond to direct mail offers. So we always make sure if we're doing a direct mail campaign, we're going to people who respond to direct mail. If we're doing a Facebook campaign, it's people who respond to Facebook. So you got to make sure that you know the history of what people have done. Now, today, one of the most exciting things is the whole issue of modeling and optimization of data. Sounds kind of complicated, doesn't it, Greg?
Yeah, a little bit. For those who've never heard it before.
Yeah. Well, let me explain. Let me break it down. So the NSA. Now, I don't like the NSA. But if you remember with the NSA, they have a thing called metadata. And with the metadata, they know everything about you. And many private companies, there's about 24 major players, of which we've used all these different players, and we know which ones are best, where they will have every name in America and sometimes as much as 20,000 bits of information on all your buying behavior. So they know if you went out and you bought a bottle of wine or a comic book or a magazine. People like Charles Schwab, Target, American Express, people who like the Wine of the Month Club behind them. All their transactional data is put into these databases. And so they know your buying behavior. And here's what we found out, that if I am able to take your ideal customer list, I can model almost an exact duplicate to mail to. So I could come up with 100,000 names, let's say, of the person who's 95 to 100% likely to buy your product or service. It's almost freaky how accurate it is. And it's a whole science of complicated regression analysis and algorithms to be able to do this, but it's so beyond accurate. And so what we'll do is we develop this database of perfect buyers or investors for you. And then we send the direct mail piece to them. And here's the thing, Greg. We also send to the very same names an email telling them, look in the mailbox for this mailing piece. And then as they're getting the piece, be sure to read it. And if they haven't responded, we haven't heard from you yet. And in their Facebook, the same thing. In their Facebook newsfeed, a picture of the mailing piece and a series of Facebook newsfeed ads and banner ads at the same time. And so it's a powerful campaign, but probably the reason most people find direct mail doesn't work is they don't have the right data. And so that's why it's so critical. You target your audience with people who are responsive to your type of offer.
Yeah, now let me again, I'm going to keep coming back to this and trying to create these teaching moments, because at Angel Investors Network, we're about helping you succeed. And a lot of companies are coming to us, want to raise capital. Craig and I have heard this so many times when we say to somebody, well, who's your audience? Well, they say women. Well, what segment of women? Well, all women. And it's like, you know, the minute an investor hears that, red flag, business plan in the trash can, you're done. They're like, there is no second thought when an entrepreneur does not understand his target market. It's like saying, well, I'm going to sell dresses to men, right? So you really got to get down to profiling your ideal customer. As well as when you're raising capital, you profile your ideal investor. So it's the same marketing strategies that you leverage both sides. Now, one of the things, and I'm going to say this just a little bit different way than Craig said it, or actually I'm going to emphasize this. Now, more than ever, better than ever, you now have the ability to get data with professionals like Craig and myself that we can help profile your ideal customer, your ideal investor, like never before, faster than before, with more data points than before, so you have a better likelihood of success than before. And even when you think about the direct mail and how Craig does it, and then Craig also does the online stuff just like we do. On the online stuff, I literally can profile an ideal person, put an ad on Facebook, and have it showing to them in less than 30 minutes. It's mind-boggling. It's never, I mean, in the old days, it was radio and TV and print, and we had to wait for results to come back. It's fantastic. And then again, recapping what he said, fully integrated marketing. It doesn't work as good just to do direct mail. It doesn't work as good just to do Facebook. It doesn't work as good just to do email. It doesn't work. But when you encompass all of those and remarketing and you put them together and they all are congruent and they all talk together, now you have a winning success for marketing online and direct mail. So it's awesome.
And Greg, I would add to that, you know, this amazing data modeling, NSA style, where you figure out the metadata and what people's buying habits are. It's so critical. And I'll give you an easy illustration. Let's say we're in the middle of a political campaign, right? So let's say that a candidate wants to raise funds for their campaign. Well, if you sent a direct mail piece, let's say this is for a conservative Republican candidate. He identifies conservative Republicans. It's not going to work. So, you know, because a conservative Republican might vote a certain way, or a conservative Republican might knock on doors or make a phone call, or subscribe to a conservative magazine, or watch Fox News, or any of these things, they're not going to raise funds. What they want to do is send a marketing campaign, a direct mail campaign and other media to people who in the past have given to conservative Republican campaigns. And whether or not, if you're marketing a widget to businesses to make it more profitable, or you're marketing to accredited investors to raise capital, what you do is you try to find the type of people who have responded the same way before, because they're likely to respond that way again.
I love it. I love it. And again, this is so cool. Hey, do you mind if we take like a 3-minute detour and you coach me for one of my new clients? Because
Sure.
I was telling them yesterday, they signed up with me today. I was showing them yesterday that I want to do direct mail.
Yeah.
So here's what they invented. They have a liquid nutritional supplement, vitamins and minerals that you drink. And I personally like that because I do not like taking pills. They've been doing this for years. They got 3 or 4 decent, really good name celebrities that swear by it and take it. They have 450 customers on auto ship with a 70% retention rate. And they've never marketed it. It's always been word of mouth.
Yes.
And they have 1,500 people on their list. So they've been doing some things right, but they like, Greg, we're ready to take it to the next level. Right. So let's say I'm your new client and I've got this thing. Let's just say, okay, what would be a couple questions you would ask me, and how would we, what would we go about to do a direct mail campaign to get people to buy this liquid nutritional supplement?
Okay, so the alternative health nutritional supplement market is a vast market, something I've done a lot of campaigns for, so I know it inside out. And we've generated a 500,000 buyers for a company called Suncorella, and the way we did that is we start off by saying, okay, this is a launch, so people haven't heard of you. So what's your unique selling proposition? What makes you different than anyone else? So you've mentioned that you drink it. Is it a different type of supplement? Is it what normally people would have, or is it something very special, a special proprietary formula?
Well, it's a proprietary formula that encompasses a lot of your daily vitamins and minerals that really helps all kinds of testimonies. And again, I just got Linda on yesterday. I think she's on listening. She just said, glad to be on. So this is for you. So this is for you, Linda. So I'm already working for you. So she said, we're the delicious liquid alternative to hard to swallow vitamin pills.
You know what's also great about this is that for the alternative market, the majority of the buyers are in their 70s and 80s. And so you've got a vast buying market. They're very direct mail responsive, and they're great buyers. And so coming up with this and being able to present it in a dramatic way is important. And so I would start off with saying, okay, I want to identify the buyers of nutritional supplements. So that market, if I break it down by a quality of list of A, B, C, D, and F, I can tell you what it is. I can tell you that the A market is close to 1.5 million postal names that are key targets. And then the second part of that is I would then take a look at, okay, what type of marketing would I do for this? And you have different choices. Now, Greg, maybe we can go into all these. But
now let's just do a high level, just a little cursor to give everyone listening an idea.
I'll go high level for this. Maybe we can come back to some of these tags.
At our event. She'll be at our event.
Oh, great. Well, listen, I would tell her this. You've got 5 or 6 different formats you could use. You could use the thing called a book-a-log. I mentioned Suncorella. We sent a 110-page book to millions of people, literally over 50 million people, and that works. We could do an envelope mailing. We could do what's called a magalog, a piece that looks like a magazine, and we could do a newslog, a piece that looks like a newspaper. If it was my money, I would do a magalog because this has some graphic element of showing people how they drink it instead of having to take it. And I think that we could actually do better than other formats with a magalog format where you got maybe 16 to 20 pages that looks like a magazine, feels like a magazine, it's a sales page for that product. I think that would be probably the best way of doing it, and it would have a powerful impact.
So I happen to have one of your samples right here of a magazine, a magalog that you did for health. And again, Craig is a master at this kind of stuff. And so, we're just kind of going off the cuff, but to give you an idea, so he'd profile those ideal people. He knows the list to buy. He knows the kind of direct spell piece that would get the best response. Let's give people an idea, and then we'll kind of move on to some other things. But I want to answer a couple questions. One is, what would be the minimum amount of mail that you would have to send out to make something like this work? And I know I can't nail you down on a cost, and I don't want anyone to think we're going to make a cost. I just want to give them a ballpark figure of what they would need to come up with from a budget. And with Linda in particular, we're going to get her some investors, and we're going to package her up. We're going to bring some investors in. So we would need to have a budget from you anyway that we would present to the investors going, here's what the money's going to be used for. So let's talk about the amount of mail that we would do. And then if you have any insight on the price point, her price point, I think, is about $59 or $40 to $50 a month on a monthly auto ship for one person. Okay. Is the retail.
I don't want to get into too much detail. A lot of that I think we can cover when we're at the conference. I'd be glad to sit down and give her some ideas. But let me just give a broad stroke for all your audience, and then for Linda. A broad stroke, if we're doing something that's an envelope mailing, and maybe later, Greg, we can go through this envelope mailing. You could do that for a B2B product and be able to have a mailing of 30, 40, 50,000 pieces. All depends upon your universe and how many names are available that makes sense to mail to. So usually an envelope mailing, you'd have less. But when you're dealing with a consumer product, you're dealing with something that like you're describing, the absolute minimum to be able to have statistically reliable results where it's predictable that when you go back into the mail the second time, you'll be able to duplicate those results. You're going to want to have a minimum of 60,000 pieces. Again, if you do it right, you're going to want to have a mailing of at least 100,000. And within that 100,000, we're testing lists, we're testing list segments, and we're testing headlines on the cover of that magalog and seeing which ones look best, work best, and which ones to stay away from. There's a lot that goes into it to be able to analyze in a test campaign. So what I would see coming for Linda is we do at least 100,000 pieces and that magalog. We test it, and we'll see that some of the lists work and some may not work. We'll see one cover might give 40, 50% higher return. And then we go to part 2, and we get the money coming back. And from that money coming back, we pour that money back into the campaign. And if she's got more capital to expand it and the results show that she can, then you do it. It's very scientific. And the pricing and the offer, that's really critical. And people make a lot of mistakes and not understanding the importance of the offer. That's at least 40% of the success or failure of your campaign. And her pricing might be off a little bit. She's got the important auto ship, or what we call
the continuity
program. This Wine of the Month Club, it's a continuity auto ship program. Those are really profitable. But we don't start them with that program. That could kill the sale because people don't like signing up immediately. I'd rather get a buyer in and then convert them. It's just going to make a lot more money that way. Second, the price point is really critical. Greg, when you watch an infomercial, what is the normal price you see on that infomercial on TV? It doesn't matter for what product or service, it's universal. Off the top of your head, what do you think that is?
I don't watch a lot of infomercials, but you do have like that 1997, but then you have that 3 payments of 33. I don't really know. I don't know.
Very close. Okay, we've done 13 infomercials and 300 TV commercials. We've tested everything you can. And it's not just us, the entire industry. If you watch an infomercial tonight, you know what you're probably going to find? the price point is $39.99, or it's $39.99 in 3 easy payments, 4 easy payments, or 5 easy payments. Right now, we've got this product that we're launching, and it's an amazing immune-building product. And so we had the opportunity, like you have with this new client of yours, to start from scratch. And so we laid out all the competition and what is the pricing structure they have. And then let's not try to go against it. Let's go with it, because these other marketers have tested it. And so you do what works in the marketplace. And if you go to $49, you have a drop off in response. And you go to $29, the increase in response isn't enough to make up for the loss of the revenue. The sweet spot is $39.99, and so we structure these things based upon people having a perceived value of a discount. What is the discount I get at 39? What's the discount I get at a higher level? And our experience is this: when you construct an offer where you've got a low level, and then you have a mid level, and maybe even a higher level, you're going to get 50% or more of the people going for the higher level, bringing in more cash and revenue. But that lower level of 39 is critical, because if you removed it, your campaign could collapse. So these are things that we do based upon testing and knowing what works in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, it's critical, and I've done a lot of that as well. And with the pricing. And the other thing, it's hard to explain when you're out without seeing the numbers, but if you're not doing scientific direct response marketing and tracking everything, you might get more orders at 39, but your profitability might be better at 49. So you have to just test it. Like, I'm looking at my Facebook ad results all the time, and even though my cost per click is lower here, my conversions are better here, and the cost per click is twice as much, but I'm making more money. So you have to know all these figures, and that's the bottom line when it comes to, if you're not doing this kind of marketing, you have to get out of business if you don't want to, because it's like, this is the difference between going broke and making a fortune, period. Now, I do want to say this too. My last comment, I'll throw it back to Craig, is, look, if you're trying to build a business and you want to succeed, you must implement direct response marketing and advertising, and you must buy traffic. You cannot, 1 out of 1 million people can build a business off a viral nature, a Snapchat or a Twitter or something along those lines. But even those companies at some point took money and advertised and marketed. I have so many companies that come to me that they want us to invest and raise money, but they don't even have any money budgeted for a marketing campaign. And I tell people, you're pretending to be a business owner. You're pretending to run a business if you don't spend money on marketing. So you have to do it. And then the last comment I want to make is, Craig said something very critical. You have to have a minimum amount of mail to be scientifically reliable, so you can go back and do it again, because there's no reason just to do one mailing. He's got a client they've been mailing 800 million pieces for. Why? Because it works, and it generates money, it generates cash flow, and they keep going and keep going and keep going. But they're always optimizing, and they're always tracking. So go, if you have any more comments. I had to say that.
And that's great, and it's right. The only other thing I would mention is this, that testing is absolutely critical, because what you think is going to work oftentimes doesn't work, and what you're sure is not going to work oftentimes does. And so, the number one principle anybody involved in this business knows is that you're not always right. The reason we do price testing and the reason we do testing of creative concepts is not because we want to create something we know is not going to work. We do it because we know that the marketplace needs to be the decision maker, and we need to go along with what the marketplace decides. The other way of putting it is, the marketplace is always right. We may not be always right, but the marketplace is always right. And that's where you've got the incredible ability to be able to test. And at the conference, Greg, I'm going to be showing test results that will save people thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe their whole campaign, so they don't make some of the mistakes other people have made. They can learn what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And let me say, I always say this: I'm a self-proclaimed marketing guru, and I'm really good at what I do, but I'm only right half the time. The market's right 100% of the time. So that's how I say what you just said. Now, but with that being said, working with Craig and even myself in some respects, but especially when it comes to direct mail, he has the wisdom of experience. So he definitely knows what things that aren't going to work, and he can accelerate our success rate and save us time by working with Craig. So let's move on. Now I just put a poll. I'm testing out this technology. I just put a poll on the right-hand side. If you guys want to answer the poll, it says, have you ever done direct mail? So I thought I'd just ask a poll and test out this technology I'm using. So answer that poll. Now also, we're getting ready to wrap up kind of our conversation and go into Q&A in 5 or 10 minutes here. So if you have a question, type it in the chat box. I'll review it and we'll throw it at Craig. But Craig, before we got on, we talked about 4 critical things when it comes to doing direct mail. And I want you just to hit them real high level, because I know we're going to go in these in detail at the event. But you talked about the data list, integrated campaign, which we've already talked about a little bit, the mailer and the strategy, and then analyzing the results and what you do with those. So let's cover those just a little bit, because I know we talked a little bit about that, but in sequence, let's go through those one at a time.
Okay, well, for any product or service, somebody will come to me. If I see them at the conference, I'll ask them, well, give me an idea who your audience is, and then we'll define how do we identify that audience and what are the traits that we're going to want. And then, okay, now how's the best way to communicate? And we'll take a look at different ways to communicate. One way is called a newsalog. It looks like a newspaper, feels like a newspaper, but in fact, this is a sales piece that gets powerful results. And then we had already talked about the idea of a direct mail piece that looks like a magazine. It's called a magalog. It's an infomercial in print. These are incredibly powerful pieces. We've used them for business to business. I have test results on my wall here in the office that I show the people that shows how CEOs and CFOs and top corporate leaders responded to a message of protecting themselves from a frivolous lawsuit versus making money. And I'll show those test results at the conference, and you'll see how they work. And then we have a traditional direct mail piece. And the traditional direct mail piece, it could be an oversized envelope, it could be a smaller envelope, it could be personalized. This is called teaser copy. This almost always works better than a blank envelope. And Greg, you like me to show you how this envelope works and why people respond?
Yeah, no, please, I like that for sure.
Okay. Now, I'll do a little bit more at the conference, but when people get this, the teaser is to convince them they got to rip open this envelope. The curiosity factor, the drama has to be there. That I open it up, what happens is that I'll look at my name first, I'll look at the teaser, and then we use what's called a pre-cancel.
Hold it just a little higher, Craig. Yeah, there we go.
We'll use a pre-cancel stamp, not a meter, not a bulk rate stamp, and I'll show you the statistics at the conference on that. Then what will happen is the person will take a look at this, and we find that what they'll do, the first thing they do is they'll go to the sales letter. And when they go to the sales letter, that's really a critical part of the sales process, more important than any other component. And in the sales letter, what they're going to do is they're going to, first of all, read the superscript and read down. We never end a letter with a period, so they have to turn to the second page. And you know what, Greg, you know this, so I'm not going to ask you this, but I'm going to ask the audience, what's the first thing somebody looks at in a direct mail envelope mailing? Well, if you guessed that it's the PS at the end, you're almost right. The first thing they take a look at is who signed it and who they are. So we never use marketing director or sales director. We always use, credible name, president, research director, something of credibility. And then they automatically, 100% readership of the PS. And at the conference, I'll tell the 3 key essentials to what has to be in every PS. So whether you do a magalog, a newsalog, a traditional envelope mailing, these type of proven tactics are what makes the difference between a winner and a loser.
No, and that's the key, right? So, and that's why sometimes direct mail gets a bad rap, because people just go out there and throw money to an agency that doesn't take this stuff seriously. They don't do the proper testing, don't have the experience, and people can lose money just like on any other marketing campaign. So you really got to know what you're doing, deal with the right kind of people. So
it's really sad, Greg. I see so many people with a great product. They've got a wonderful idea. It could be so successful, and it fails. And I see people sometimes with a really lousy product and really lousy idea, but they do the marketing right, and it works, and they become a winner. And so the proper marketing is beyond a luxury. It's a necessity for anybody who wants to be successful.
Yeah, so you talked about the different mailer strategies. Let's talk a little bit about your analysis at the back end of a campaign. You know, and we're doing one for a mutual client where they're doing their Reg A Plus and getting investors. Can you talk to us a little bit, a few minutes, on the back end of that analysis and what your amazing genius mind looks at and thinks about as you're analyzing all that data?
Well, the starting point is, remember, when we have a campaign, we've done one or more tests. So we're testing price, we're testing headlines, we're testing a variety of things. We got to know the results. Plus, we're testing multiple mailing lists. It's a huge mistake to trust in one list. We spread our risk, and we try different types of market segments. So what we do is we take all the results that come in from the direct mail and the email and Facebook and banner ads. We take all that, because they were all generated from that campaign. And then we run it through the master list of everything that was mailed, and we match it up. And from that, we can see which version they got. It was test version A, B, C, or D. We can see whether or not it was list number 1, 2, 3, or 4. And we have complete analytics on the cost per lead, the cost per sale, and we know what's working and what doesn't. It's an amazing, precise, scientific way of knowing what to do next. So once we get that data, I sit down and I give a precise analysis of what we see, of what we should do next, and the roadmap is there.
Awesome. Okay, so I got some questions coming in, and I see we're about the 40-minute mark. So we'll start answering some questions, if that's okay with you, Craig.
Sure. Yeah.
So Brian, he said he got disconnected, but now he's back on board. And he said, did Craig mention the cost for a 100,000 piece direct mail campaign? And I think before we talk about the cost, I want to give my personal testimony. I've been working with Craig and his team intimately with some mutual clients and being CC'd on stuff. And it's amazing. It's an enormous amount of work, But it starts with the copywriting and writing the copy. Then it goes to the creative, the image, and the graphical interface. Then there's approval processes all the way through this. Then there's buying and segmenting the lists. And then there's actual the printing of the piece. And then there's actually the overseeing of the printing of the piece. Then there's actually the mailing of the piece, like the actual postage cost. And there's the overseeing of the mailing of the postage cost. So the reason I'm saying this is because Craig will say the same thing to you, but I've seen it and I've watched it. And this last campaign, it blew me away. They actually go to the printer and follow the stuff from the printer to the post office to make sure it gets mailed. And they're watching stuff come off the presses to make sure that it's quality control and the colors are properly done and it's coming off the way it's supposed to come off. So I don't know if you want to add to that at all. And well, I know there's so many things that have to be done, and you can't believe either how careless or mistakes that are made in the printing process and the mailing process. And then unfortunately, some people aren't very honest in the actual mailing delivery process. So all along the way, we have somebody who monitors and makes sure everything's done right. The color's right, the production's right, the quality's right, and the delivery is not only on time, but
fully delivered. And so we take pictures, we have people there. We've got most of the time, we've got staff there at 2 in the morning watching the thing being run. So it is not an easy process. We always make sure that we get 3 competitive bids, and then we only do the ones that we know can do it right and do it on time and do it well.
And so let me say this too. So this is the piece that my client, Steve Sadler, that Craig Huey and his team just recently did. It's a 16-page magalog to investors. And this piece, 100,000 piece, including the copywriting, the graphics, the layout, the printing, the postage, everything, it was $200,000. So it's $2 a piece. And to me, I don't know how they even do it for that. It's like, how do you print 16 pages full color all the way through? How do you write the copy? All this done for $2 a piece, and then the postage. I mean, if I was just to mail this anywhere across the country, what's the postage stamps these days? So when you put that in consideration, it is a sizable investment. There's no doubt this isn't for a startup, but it is a sizable investment. But on the other hand, the results are very early for Allegiancy. But I can tell you that as of today, and it's only been in the mail 4 days, 5 days of results, we have over $300,000 of indicated interest. So it's working. And I know every deal is different. And it might be different for Linda and her liquid vitamin than it is anybody else. But that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on for the financial world and what we're doing in our partnership with Craig and doing our direct mail campaigns to get investors. You can pretty much put it in the bank that for 200,000, we can get 100,000 piece mailer done. Now there might be a situation where it goes over, but it's not going to become an under. But I also will say this, that also includes some integration with Facebook and email marketing too. This isn't just, Craig and I, we agree with this one thing. We don't just do this. It's all or none. We're not going to do a direct mail campaign without it being full integrated because we won't get the results we want. So I don't know if you want to add to that at all, Craig.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add, and I'll probably go into this a little bit at the conference, but when you talk about 200,000 for a campaign, you mix together 2 different variables. One is what we call fixed costs, and the other variable costs. And the fixed costs are like the postage. It doesn't matter if you mail 10,000 pieces or 1,000,000 pieces. The postage is the postage, and that would include the list costs and the media costs and what have you. The other cost is the cost of the creative. So that $200,000 includes the creative costs, the copywriting, the art, all the strategy, everything that goes into it. But you normally would amortize that over the life of campaign. So in the case that you held up there, my expectation is that they're going to be mailing out another 200,000, 100,000 or 200,000, maybe even 500,000 pieces in the next few months. Well, the amount of creative work has already been done. So they're not really paying for the creative over again. So that 200,000 represents both the creative costs, which should last for a year or two, and then the cost for the printing and what have you. So there's 2 different ways to look at it. One is what you did, Greg. How much money out of my pocket does it cost? And the other way is the longer term, where you see that there's the creative costs, which are amortized over time, and then the other costs, which are based upon how much you mail.
Awesome. Now, there's obviously a lot of details with all this stuff, and we want to work with people. And here's the other thing too. We're getting down to that point to where I want you guys to really consider about coming to Angel Money Marketing Live, our 3-day event. We only do these a couple times a year. And this gives you a chance to meet Craig Huey, shake his hand. His son will be there. Caleb will be there, I'm pretty sure, and shake his hand. Meet me. We're going to eat together. We're going to have lunch together for 3 days. I got A players. I'm talking A players coming to this event. I mean, again, you can see by talking to Craig, this guy is a $60 billion guy, right? That's an A player. These relationships are the golden Rolodex. And there's 3 reasons why you go to any event. One is to get tactical strategy and tactics that you can go home and execute and have a direct impact on your bottom line. 2 is you want to just feed your mind with knowledge. You need this knowledge because the only reason you don't have and what you want is because you don't know how to get it. And we're going to teach you how to do that. And 3 is relationships. The relationships, one relationship, and maybe it's Craig Huey, maybe it's Greg Writer, maybe it's somebody else that's going to be speaking on my stage, but one relationship can change your life. One relationship can change the trajectory of your business. So I want to say that, and I'm going to do this for everybody too. I so much appreciate the fact that you're on here, you're asking questions, you're listening to us. If you guys do want to come, I'm going to say I'm going to give you 50% off. Our tickets are $997 a ticket. So just because you took the time and you're still here, if you click that link and buy the ticket, you're going to get a 50% off. You can use the coupon code 50 off and you save 50%. They just give you a $500 value. So now let me see. I see another question here. It's a good question. Let's talk about the time frame. Let's say Linda walks in and says, I got the money, I'm ready to go. What's the time frame from that initial meeting or signing the engagement to, okay, it's in the mail and people are actually starting to see it? And then give us an idea of, we do a 100,000 piece mailer. How long can we expect results to happen?
All right. First of all, what you said earlier about what goes into creation of these type of campaigns, it really is intense, where we've got the copywriters, the creative staff, the artists, we've got the media people, the production people, all of them are working on this. And it's a long process. It takes usually 12 weeks before we're ready to go. So that's the normal budget without any extra rushes. So 12 weeks, you get into the mail, and normally there's about a delay because the post office is a government monopoly. They're a little bit slow. It takes 5-10 days before the first response rate hits, and then it's going to be maybe as much as a 10-12 week period of time before you get the last results and that you start doing the analysis. But you'll get most of the response in after the first hit. Probably 3 to 4 weeks will be the majority of the orders coming in.
Awesome. So there you go. So you're talking 3 months, and that's if the world is perfect. So let's say 4 months, right? Because sometimes things happen. And again, sometimes it's the client not getting the feedback and the approvals back, and we're experiencing that right now. So, but that's okay. With me on your team, we're going to get it done on time.
Can I add this for anybody who's participating in this? If you're thinking about it, right now we're working with clients with a recognition, and I'll talk about this at the conference on timing. The second best time of the year for any type of campaign is the last week of August and beginning of September. We're really almost too late for that. But the best time of the year, is that last week of December, beginning of January, first 2 weeks of January. You'll have optimum response all the time. And it's kind of counterintuitive to think that that would be the best of the whole year, but it is. But to make that date, somebody would have to start the process pretty quickly.
Very cool. Okay, so we got another really good question. What would be ROI that one could expect in doing, and let's relate this to like the investment. I know you've given me some case studies and Caleb has in the past. What would be a typical ROI that one could expect, or one that you want to look for? Like at what point do you say this is not going to work for you? Maybe, I don't know, but give me your input on an ROI, and then I want to give mine after yours.
Let me give you two responses. First response is somebody like Linda and her product sales. Our goal and objective, when you peel off the creative costs and you look at those constant costs, is that we're going to get back more than $1 for every dollar spent. If we can get back $1.50 or $2 or $2.50 for every dollar spent, we have a real good winner. But if we just get back $1 for every dollar spent, we've got the beginnings of a very profitable campaign. Now, companies that have been around for a while, they're very happy to get 90 cents or 80 cents back for every dollar spent, because they know they'll make it up on secondary and back end sales. So they look at the lifetime value of the customer. But a launch would be at least $1 for every dollar spent. Now, for an investment product, we're doing investment relation campaigns, 506C campaigns, and Job Act and Reg A Plus. And for those, we're hoping to get back with a client $10 for every dollar spent. And that's kind of what we're looking at and what our experience has been. And so that's our objective.
So when you say $10 for every dollar spent, so 200,000 would be 2 million, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was going to say. Is like, say, in my calculations, as we're talking to entrepreneurs who need to raise between 2 million and 5 million, I'm saying to them, look, we have to put up $200,000 for the direct mail campaign. We're going to mail 100,000 people. Now, those 100,000 people, we're hoping for 1,000 people to raise their hand, a 1% response, to raise their hand and go, hey, I read your 16-page Magalog or your mail piece. I'm interested in investing. And then we're looking for minimum investments. And I say this with the 506C exemption. And again, we'll go over this in detail at our event. The 506C exemption, 25,000 minimum investment, and maybe the average between 50 and 80. So let's just say 50. So that means out of that 1,000 leads, we have to get four investors at 50,000 apiece to get our $200,000 back. And I tell people every day, and Craig knows this, I actually asked Craig, I don't know if you remember this, Craig, but I asked her, I said, if we have a good company that's worthy of investment, that's really sexy, got a good deal, I think it's impossible to pick the right list, do the right mailer with a good company and not get our money back. And you said, yeah, I pretty much agree with you. So you think about that.
Do everything right, that's what should happen.
Yeah, so the risk is very, very little with the investment side of things. You're risking giving up some stock in your company and some time. But the upside is now those 1,000 leads, let's say we get 50 people, which is 5% of the 1%. That's at 50,000, that's $2.5 million. But what if you were to close more than 5%? What if you were to close 10 or 15%? So you have the upside to raise 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, maybe as much as 5 million from one campaign. And the downside is you get your money back. And again, because I'm not going to let you put a deal through our pipeline and put our name and Craig's name and reputation on the line if we don't think you're going to, if you got some deals, I already have turned people down. It's like, look, this is not going to work for you. I just don't think it's going to work for you. We got to be able to profile the right investor. You got to have the right sexy story. You got to have your act together. And I use this term all the time. You have to be worthy of investment money. And when I say that, I'm going to say this. We want you to be worthy of professional investors' money. And there's a difference, right? So angel investors, my group, we're professional angel investors. We look at over 1,000 deals a year. So we know good from bad right off the bat, right? High net worth investors aren't necessarily that way. So we believe if you can position yourself with an investor grade, be worthy of professional investment money, then when you're putting your offer in front of high net worth investors that aren't that grade, they love your deal. They love it, and it makes it really, really much better than that. So I don't know if you want to add to that, but.
Well, anytime you're doing marketing, you've got risk, and you are taking risks. I think the risk is pretty minimal based upon these advanced marketing techniques and the success that we've had in the past. And so, once they see at the conference these success stories, that I show test results, that I show outcomes, I think that the participants will be pretty excited about what they see and what they can do and what they can accomplish with these strategy and techniques.
Yeah, no, obviously there's risks in everything, and it's about mitigating those risks, and it's about putting things together and giving yourself a shot. And when I compare to your alternatives of going from angel group to angel group to angel group, flying around this plane, that plane, trying to meet with investors and pitch people, it's like next thing you know, you've racked up $100,000 in hotels and travel costs. Oh. And
Greg, the way I tell people about that, I say it's the difference between the way things were done in the 1990s versus the way things are done today.
Yep, exactly. Well, that's the new laws. It's like the new crowdfunding laws is exciting. We're the ones in the country, you and me, that are promoting this and doing this and actually doing it. No one else is. We're very unique in that fashion. Now, I promise you, as this starts to show more and more results, more and more case studies, there's going to be a lot of people trying to do it. They're not going to do it as good as we can because of the experience of Craig Huey and his background. But it's exciting for us to do this. So I hate to say this, but we're right at that time where I can't take any more questions. Actually, I got one more question, and it's got to be like 2 minutes, because I always like to wrap these up at 1 hour. I'm a very timely guy. We're all busy. We all have things to do, and I like to be punctual and on time. So Scott asks, do we find that older age groups tend to read the envelope or magazines more than younger age groups? And if they're marketing to maybe millennials or 20 to 30-year-old, is there still a benefit from physical marketing piece to the regular mail? And that's probably a really good question, going, hey, I know the older guys are sitting at home reading. My dad used to sit there and read the stuff all day long, but what about the younger generation? How would you handle that?
Well, it's a great question. And so I'll give you real quick, 2 quick answers to it. I asked the same question when I was just out of college and getting into this business. And there was this direct marketing genius. And I asked him, what's going to happen? Because all the people are responding to the mail. They're like, they're in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and they're going to die. And all direct mail is going to die. And then as I turned into my 30s and 40s and 50s, I began to realize that as people transition into that age, they become very good buyers. And not only that, the second part of it is this, that we always are monitoring where the changes are and how people behave. And we find that when you have an investment product and somebody's going to write out a check for $25,000, or even if they're going to write out a check for $39 for or $49 for a liquid nutritional supplement, you have to say enough to convince them, overcome their skepticism, and get them excited. And you're not going to do that just with a little banner ad. You're not going to do that with just a Facebook newsfeed post. You're going to have enough information on the landing page, enough information in a direct mail piece. You need to be able to have enough information to motivate me to part with my money and to trust what you have. And that takes a lot of copy to convince me.
Yeah, and you know what? And what we're doing for the millennials and the new age is webinars and video. They love video content. I know you're a big proponent of that too. So, well, we're going to get all your questions answered at Angel Money Marketing Live. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's Google Hangout, where I'm introducing all of our speakers. They're going to be blessing us with their wisdom and their presence at Angel Money Marketing Live. It's June 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Embassy Suites, Los Angeles, right down the street from the LAX airport. I want you guys to get your link, go get your ticket, use the 50 off to save 50% because you came here and you watched this, and we'll get you registered, we'll get you going. We'll be sending you a survey and asking you what it is you want to get out of the event, because we're going to make sure that every single person gets their issues and their needs and their requests answered at our event. That's what we're all about. And again, if you were to say, Craig, I need you for a day, Craig's going to charge you $2,000 to $5,000 a day. I charge $2,000 a day. I don't get it very often, but every once in a while I do. This way for us to do an event allows me to bring my best A players in, my best relationships in. They come in as friends of mine, right? They come because I ask them. Craig's busy, and we're going to do everything we can to bless you and help you succeed. So we want you there. We want you to, bring your business partner, bring your spouse, bring your young kids, bring your 18-year-olds, your 19-year-olds, your 17-year-olds. Teach them this stuff, and you give them the best gift that they could ever have. So that's my last words. Craig, do you got any last words before we sign off?
No, I just hope they show up, because I'd love to meet with them, talk to them about their product or service, be able to give them some great ideas, and be able to give them a good, honest assessment of what I think their success rate could be, and what the chances of having a powerful campaign. So do this all the time, and it can save people a lot of pain, a lot of heartache by being able to consult with them like that.
Very cool. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it. So everyone, we want to say thank you again. We want to see you at our event. That event's going to help you generate the cash flow and the money through these ideas and these strategies that give you the freedom and the financial freedom to grow and be a prospering business. So we'll see you in Los Angeles soon. If you're just watching us for the first time, check out angelnetwork.com. Check out Craig's website at Creative Direct Marketing. If you Google Creative Direct Marketing Group, it comes right up, but it's CDMG Inc.com. Check out his website. You'll be blown away by everything they got going on there. And until we see you in Los Angeles, do what we do. Wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude and tell somebody you love them. Signing off, everybody.